Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this podcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. Who would have thought? The year is going by so fast. Oh my gosh, I thought it was just a New Year's not that long ago with our special New Year's Eve show. Wow, that was a fun one, my friends. Wow, feels like I'm doing this a second time in a row, and honestly I have, because if you wondered why the show started so late, it's because, well, I started the show and started recording, not streaming. So on that note, I think everything should be fine. We are up and running at this point. Let's go ahead, and my friends, and let's welcome in the audience one more time. I've welcomed you once, but you never get to see it, but I do have a recording of it here somewhere. On that note, let me go ahead and start up the drums. And welcome in our audience. Who the heck do we have out there? We have $70 million Man X, along with Andy W. Anne Marie's here, along with Anton Ghost. We've got Charles Kerr and Corky Castle Long Shadow in the chat, along with Craig Smith, Digger Dog, Eli McGinnis, Eric Roth and the Gurus, Fanda Vetted, along with Firefly, Frank Cathell, Gaynor Andrews, Joff, Ostroff. That's a new one. Welcome. Or actually, yeah. Names are popping everywhere. Let's move on. Geraldine's here along with Hemigod. I see Invisible Tracker, John May at Lockett, Johnny UFO. Good to see you, my friend. Kathy and Kelly Bro with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. And it's always fun playing around with you over on X, friend. You're such a great sport. Also want to welcome in Kenneth Wenrick, King Bull, Liberty Astro UK. We also have Lit Clicker and Maritime Unprepared. Necessary Dialogues here, along with Paul Damon. Apparently Paul has been freed. Yes, breaking news, everybody. Paul Damon. Wait. Yes, Paul Damon has been freed. Let's welcome in Reality Check VIP along with Sam and Sander Jutt. I see Shelley Montgomery and Space Coast Flights. We have Stargazer 46 and 2, along with Super Unknown, the Chromosome Cowboy, and the Coin 405. Would you look at that? The Mac Geek is here, as well as Tia Marie and Vern Dude. How's it going, Vern? On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our back panel, as like we always like to do here. Well, not always. Times. On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our first panelist coming in from the great country and the great city of Bristol, United Kingdom. Let's welcome in Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hey, Thomas, nice to speak to you again.
Yeah, we got this far last time, and then Ed popped in and said, "You're not live."
It's not even Fuck It Friday. We'll have to think of a name for today, won't we?
No, but there's a restaurant in near Newport Beach, California, called Fucketai.
Okay.
It's Phuket, or it's pronounced Fucketai, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in, my friend.
Each to their own. Cheers, mate.
Absolutely. Our next person is new in the back. I'm not sure where you're from. Let's welcome in Braden Miller. How's it going, Braden?
Fantastic. How are you, Thomas?
Pretty good. What part of the world are you calling in from?
Not America. I'm from the 51st state, potentially.
Nice.
Canada. Yeah, I'm on the East Coast in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Halifax, Nova Scotia. Very nice. You're close to the Raccoon Whisperer.
Oh, yeah?
Nice. Thank you for coming in, Braden. I appreciate it so much. Our next guest is coming in, why not get? The panelist is coming in from the great state of Indiana. You could almost call him a Hoosier. Let's welcome in Daryl Zernick. How's it going, Daryl?
It's going great, Thomas. You know, a false start is still a start, and I'm looking forward to the show. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Absolutely. Our next friend is coming to us from the great state of Texas. Let's welcome in the legendary Ed Brown. How's it going, Ed?
Well, I'm doing real well, Thomas. It's good to be here this afternoon and this evening, and look forward to the show. I think we're going to have a lot of A lot of good news today.
I think so, and a lot of fun talking, having, there aren't many live shows left on Disclosure, about Disclosure these days, so welcome to one of the few that's remaining.
I would like to know, though, Andy, did you have your second drink? Because after the false start, I thought maybe you went back and got another drink to kick off the second part of the show.
Definitely not. No, I one sniff of a barmaid's blouse and I'm anybody. So yeah, I'd be slobbering over the screen if I have to.
Good question and better answer. Our next guest, coming from the great state of Michigan, let's welcome in our dear friend Hollywood Harold. How's it going, Harold?
It is going legendary, Thomas. I can't wait to see what story you've got on this UK drone solved.
Yeah, same here. I had a whole write-up on it, and I closed the window down right when I was getting ready to go live when I didn't go live. So, yeah, I'll be bringing it up. Yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. Yeah, there's some interesting news about that, about our speculation may have been exactly on target, what exactly these things were. Thank you for coming in, Harold. Our next friend, his name is Cody. You're new to the back, my friend. You may want to unmute yourself if you want to say hello to the audience. Yes, Smoke. Okay, let's move on to the great state of Wisconsin. Let's welcome in our next friend, our remote viewing targeter, Laura Campbell. How's it going, Laura?
Going great, Thomas. I think it's funny that the UK would figure out the drone problem before the USA does. Go UK.
Yeah. It looks like it's from some good old, if you want to call it sleuthing, deep dive reporting, because, the Ministry of Defense in the United Kingdom doesn't like sharing a lot of information, but it's really interesting to see the truth coming out. Thank you for coming in today, Laura.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, I will introduce our next friend is Sergeant Daniel, USMC, who likes to consider him sometimes a masshole because he's from Massachusetts. How's it going, Daniel?
Outstanding. Great to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you as well. And Mocha. And our last contestant, our last person on viewer call-in today is Tia Marie, coming from the great state of New York. How's it going, Tia?
Hey, Thomas. I'm excited to be here. I didn't hear anything about the drones, so I'm excited to hear what you got in store. Hi, Mocha.
Jump down.
Pretty girl. I love that dog.
She's learned. She has definitely learned how to get cookies during the show.
Good job, Mocha.
Absolutely. God, Jesus Christ. Is there someone here who can handle the luggage and carry the bags under my eyes? Yes, Mocha, you can do that for me. How about that? All right, let me get in that noise. Since we've got it here, I have to go ahead and find the article that I was bringing up, and I have a summary of it written up here somewhere. Oh, I need to get back into here and go into the bigger window. No, come on. I've got a write-up of what was going on here. Let's find this. Oh, row, Mocha. Yes, how about that? Hey, Harold, your hand is up, my friend.
Grok is your friend, Thomas.
Who?
Grok, Grok, the new AI, Grok.
Grok, Grok, yes.
Yeah.
I've got Grok, and I also have ChatGPT. It's integrated right with my operating system here, so it's a pretty good one. So let me get to this post and bring it up. All right. Sound effects are off. We got all that set. I've made changes to OBS. I have no idea what's going on with my frame rate here right now. I haven't dropped any frames yet. Video quality should be better because I increased its strength by another 3000K per second, and trying to make stuff look really good. All right, so as you remember, getting to our first story here, let me go ahead and jump in here solo. I'll get into the desk for that matter. Why not? In late, bring this, what I'm going to read up in the first all to get here, and you know what? Let me just go ahead and bring up that. Let's go back to here. All right. I have it here still. Story. All right, there you go. There's our picture for what's going on. In late 2024, multiple identified and sophisticated drones were observed flying over several U.S. Air Force bases in England, including RAF Lakenheath, RAF Mildenhall, RAF Fairford, and RAF Beltwell. How did this thing just? There we go. Oh, that's it. Mocha's on the keyboard. Man, she will do anything for a cookie. Hold on, my friend. That's what I get for having a wireless keyboard and a husky. I was wondering what the hell just happened here. Why did all of a sudden my window change that I had up showing for everybody what was going on? Yeah, it's Mocha. It was Mocha. Let me get this back up here. Now, these drones flying in varying in size and configuration were controlled in real time, evading all tracking and countermeasure efforts. The incidents prompted at least 2 secret Cobra meetings, with officials being unable to identify the operators, supposedly, and not ruling out the involvement of a hostile state, such as Russia. You better believe it. Similar drone activities were later reported along the eastern seaboard of the United States. In response to the UK government, imposed strict regulations on drone flights near military and intelligence sites, banning drones within 2 nautical miles of 2 key locations or for national security reasons. Despite intensive investigations, no drones have been captured, and their operators remain unidentified until now. What am I talking about? Yes, they have been. 3 individuals with links to Russian military and intelligence traveled to the UK and stayed near top secret bases around the time of the suspicious drone sightings. Now, this has come to us from the iPaper, which is a inews.co.uk site. Very interesting to hear. Andy, your thoughts that finally we've got an answer. Yeah, the drones came from Russia.
Yeah, I find that really interesting, actually. Why they couldn't bring these things down, if they were low enough, good old shotgun. That's a double-barreled shotgun's going to bring something like that down.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, why they actually, it was purported they sent the SAS out, and I don't want to besmirch those guys, definitely not going to besmirch those guys, but, why they weren't bringing these drones down, whether they didn't bring them down so they could hopefully track them back to who was operating them, I don't know. But these did seem, and I know our friend Daryl from Liberty Astro, who was Liberty Wing UK, is in the chat. Really, really find it quite interesting that they didn't bring these things to Earth.
No,
when they could have. So,
it seemed like what we have going in the United States is we have over. How do I put this nicely? We have military defense contractors who are developing these anti-UAS platforms that I'm sure our respective countries, United States and the United Kingdom, have probably spent hundreds of millions of dollars to research and acquire. If not hundreds, we're talking lots of dosh here, my friend. Yes, absolutely. And, whether the inefficiency of these devices is because, well, the military-industrial complex has been infiltrated by Russia, and they know the full capabilities of this and how to harden their devices to be resistant to the attacks of what we have, as we call it, the Ghostbusters pack. It's like the eco pack, like they have on the Ghostbusters from the movie itself, that they have in the United States. And I'm sure they have something similar in the UK. Your thoughts on this, Andy? Do you think this is the Russians having advanced UFO technology, or have they just done like they usually do the research, develop some technology, and get it out there and test it to look like it, to basically prove our countermeasures don't work?
Yeah, now I remember we had the drone issues over, I believe it was Heathrow Airport, about 3 or 4 years ago. 2 people were arrested. They were subsequently released, and it was proven that they were not the people that were flying whatever these drones were. Nobody ever got captured. Nobody got arrested. No drones got recovered. Right. It seems the same here. I know. You've got your countermeasure issues. Over in the States, and I know we've created the Dragonfire anti-drone system. Now that's a laser, so you know, any kind of electromagnetic pulse systems that they can shield against, you're not going to shield against a laser. So don't really know, you know, whether it's too expensive for them to put into action there.
And what we're talking about here is we're not talking about the kind of drones that would be used in a military situation. I see the chat erupting at this particular point. We're only talking about the drones in the United Kingdom at this point, my friends. And what we're talking about would be something equivalent to drones being developed and deployed by the CIA to go ahead and find out what was going on, you know, to deploy them. And this is for intelligence and counterintelligence information. Ed, your hand is up, my friend.
Well, a couple of things jump out at me, Thomas. The first one is, look at the dates. They're dating these back into September, August, September time period. You would think by now there would be an update or a better explanation of them. But, you know, this reminds me so much of when we were talking about the New Jersey drones possibly being Russian or Chinese. I kind of agree with Andy. I think the best thing is to just take one good shotgun and shoot one of them down, and let's get an answer to this question.
Bingo.
The electronic stuff won't work. Let's knock them out of the sky.
Yeah, that seemed to be the problem in the United States. They've been under duress not to go ahead and actually shoot these things down. And if we've been having drones, or potentially in the United States, more like UAP coming in and invading our airspace over our nuclear power plants, over our nuclear missile sites, and over our military, if we have the technology, we should use it to bring these things down. I agree.
Well, it's been, what, 10 or 12 different bases that we've had this activity at, and not one single drone has been captured.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, car size, not detectable by radar, unable to be brought down. That's, I believe Paul Damon here is talking about the drones in the United States specifically. We're kind of focusing on just what's going on in the United Kingdom now. And Andy, you've got your hand up on this, but first, before you get to it, in the image that's behind us at this point, let me go ahead and bring down that chat. This is an image that goes ahead and details the links of the drones, of what was going on and who they're tying back to. We have, you know, they're talking about the last seen dates of these particular drones. We have RAF Mildenhall, and that is linked to the Russian embassy. We have RAF Lakenheath. We have RAF, I actually have many on RAF Lakenheath for the different sightings that were going on in September and October of 2024, are linked to Russian intelligence. And we have the ones that were near RAF Lakenheath that are tagged in August, that are linked to specifically the Russian military. So yes, these could be drones that Russia got from China or somewhere else to that degree, but they're clearly tied back to Russian intelligence. And the most important piece about this, Andy, is these particular bases that we're talking about are the ones set up for the United States to potentially deploy attacks against Russia in Ukraine, or fighting against Ukraine.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and I want to sort of say to some of the people in chat who sort of, you know, Paul and people are saying about the size of these things, you know, the ones in the UK, there was no actual, nobody was actually talking about the size of these things. They're not the large ones that are being seen in the US. I've not heard any news or any information about them being anywhere near car sized. These seem to be, you know, the potentially DJI drone sort of size.
Right.
You know, so that's from my information.
Right.
You know, so yeah, but yeah, these are definitely operational, you know, bases. It seems to be like the three that are over on the East Coast, you know, we're getting more interest than Fairford. I don't believe that was happening for very long. You know, Fairford tends to be not an operationally used base at the, you know, very often. It is at the moment. We've got a handful of B-52s in there at the moment that have come over from you guys.
Right.
Yeah, the rest of them, felt well. I don't know what goes on there because I never heard of
Well,
that place before.
if I remember
or this
correctly,
kickoff.
based on the map we've got up here at this point, we can see that Mildenhall is the one to the south. That is the location where we, the United States, I believe, has their, is that the bombers are the ones in Mildenhall, I think?
I'm not sure.
And Lake,
I know.
Mildenhall has the really long runways for the B-52s or the B-1 bombers and all that stuff. Lakenheath has all of the, if you want to call it F-35s and such. And the one Fairford, I believe, which is up to the north, that's our United States Space Force and United States Air Force. They have satellites and observation for what's going on, so it's an intelligence
that's
location.
Felt well,
yeah.
That's felt well. Yeah, Fairford has. I know. We've got some of the drones have been in and out of there. We've got B-52s. They fly the U-2 Dragon Lady in and out of there. It's about a 2-mile long runway. I've actually been on site for an air show. It's a huge, great big runway there.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have planes, aircraft based there all the time.
Yeah, I would encourage Liberty Astro UK, if you're in the chat, please join in the back. Would love to hear your thoughts on what these are being called out at, because you were one of the people who were out there grabbing a bunch of videos when you had your YouTube channel, Liberty Wings UK, and you were going and, if you want to call it, sharing these video clips and trying to bring out and shine a light on what was going on at these sites.
Yeah, I know Daryl's in chat, so yeah, whether he wants to come in or
I'm
not
seeing
tonight.
him.
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Oh, actually, here he is now.
All right, perfect. Daryl, thanks for joining us. Getting his mic, probably.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, and yourself? Now, you were out at Lakenheath for many nights and many days going ahead and recording these particular drones. How does the assessment saying that they're linked back to Russia intelligence?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. What I saw, if you remember going back to November last year, when I first saw them, they were at distance, but one night I saw one come over the top of us, and I estimated it to be a car size. It looked quite big. That's the only one of that size I saw. They were keeping away from the end where I was filming. They were right down the other end most of the time. And but one came right over the top, and it kept circling around. And I estimated that was the size of a car, maybe bigger, to be honest with you. But yeah, I've been in the chat, and they've got the laser the laser weapon there, because you can see them now. They're at the end of the runway. There's one either end, and they brought them in after the drones had gone. Really, the SAS came in. I saw them put their. They had a big marquee, and they were all operating around that marquee, and then they all disappeared. But people keep saying to me that the drones are still there. They've seen them, but I mean, I've been over during the day a few times. I've not seen anything during the day, but we have seen. Me and my wife was outside. When was it? Midweek this week, but I think it was Tuesday. We saw some lights over our skies, which we're only 20 miles from Lakenheath, and we saw. Well, it looked like a drone again. So. People are saying they're there still, but we definitely saw something which was abnormal. It sort of like hovered. It wasn't a helicopter. It didn't make any noise. I couldn't hear it, and it looked quite close to us. So I've got my telescope on the go now. That's why I'm all in my jacket. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Russia, to be honest with you. That was what the word was when I was there, but no one could ever prove anything. But I noticed, I did send you an email today. I noticed in a local newspaper from Lincolnshire that they had been, there was Russian guys there, and they were doing fruit picking apparently. So they like came over early in the year, sort of got themselves set up as like a little temporary job doing fruit picking, and apparently they were flying from that area, from Lincolnshire, the Wash. So that's not silly far away from Lakenheath. I could imagine if they were coming off the sea, that's the area they would have come from. So yeah.
Yeah, and you had sent an article to me here. Let me bring it up right now. This is one you had just sent. Let me go ahead and shut this other window down so I can see what's going on. All right, here we go. So this is coming to us from Lynn News, which is a local newspaper, looks like in the United Kingdom. Let me go ahead and move Disclosure Tonight logo off. Actually, no, let me get to desktop. Yes. Here we go. We increased the size so people aren't going to believe, can get into this. Here we go. So drones over military base, including Feltwell, has led to suggestion of Russian involvement. So I believe there's RAF Feltwell, and that's the one that has all of the different radio dishes that we're talking about earlier. I mean, satellite dishes.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's Feltwell.
Radar, yeah, exactly. So at least two of them are understood to have gotten, like you're saying, job as fruit pickers in the surrounding fields as they planned and assess the sites. And UK intelligence agencies are investigating suggestions that they recruited Brits to actually fly the drones. And let me get into this more. The investigation, which used open source geolocation data, claims one individual who had regularly attended Russian embassies over the last year flew into Britain in early May and was meters from RAF Mildenhall's perimeter fence at the time when drones were sighted overhead in November. Additionally, another individual who was present at Russia's largest military facility in Takistan in February 2024, who also arrived in the UK in May, visited remote areas around the base on several occasions before returning to Russian military base within 2 months of the drone sightings. Now, there is a third person out there who had access to a Moscow facility run by the GRU, which is a military intelligence unit, during 2023. He flew into Stansted Airport late last August and visited the areas around RAF Lakenheath and RAF Mildenhall throughout September and October. This individual then returned to Russia via Turkey and spent some time in the military district on the outskirts of Moscow. Now, while these claims come at a time of heightened international tensions over the war in Ukraine, there is a growing rift between the U.S. and Western allies as our good old Donald Trump negotiates directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Yeah, that's an interesting story. Gives a lot of great details. I appreciate that, Daryl. Yeah. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah, that's a bit more interesting there. The stuff there, really. So I'm just keeping my eyes open still. I'm still watching the skies over here. So if I find anything else, I'll forward on to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great story to get to it. You know, I guess they're saying fruit pickers are the perfect cover.
Definitely.
But it definitely shows there's a really good likelihood of what was going on over the United Kingdom was definitely an intelligence operation from Russia spying on the UK, more importantly, the United States in the UK.
Yeah, definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed, your hand is up.
I was just going to say, 50, 60 years ago, we lost the airplane Gary Powers was in, the U-2, over Russia. Used to be you'd shoot them down if they crossed into your airspace. And I just cannot believe that we've not brought one of them down and accused them of spying.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Even like when we had that reconnaissance balloon that was coming over the United States from China, about a year, 2 years ago at this, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point, that when that came over, we had the opportunity to shoot it over before it even came over the mainland United States.
Well, is there a possibility that we've missed the boat on this and that it really is an NHI-powered craft and it can't be shot down, possibly? Be nice to find out if they attempted to shoot him down, one of them down.
In my humble opinion, the objects we were seeing are just too prosaic. It aligns with human-based technology, and if we're talking about something from another dimension, if we're talking about something that's been here tens of thousands, if not millions of years, talking about something that may have come across the galaxy to get here, or coming from another galaxy for that matter, who knows? For me, it's just too prosaic, meaning what we're seeing flying in the air, at least in the United States, aligns to human technology. And if you're an advanced civilization, would we really be resorting to those primitive means. Sergeant Daniel, your hand is up.
Yeah, I mean, if they flew in, and they flew out, and they have all their, their paths marked. I mean, where did the drones come from? I mean, they didn't put a car-sized drone or whatever, in their pockets.
For which in the United States?
No, in the UK.
Was
saying that they were.
Daryl said he only saw one large one.
Right.
All the other ones that he had seen were small. And that large one, we don't know if that was one potentially from the United Kingdom going up and doing their own surveillance of what was going on versus all the drones that were zipping around by the military locations that were relatively small.
I don't know, spending the time in the military that I did, I can't imagine that they would stand 10 seconds of letting them things fly around. They'd be shooting everything at them.
Well, look what's been going on in the United States for a number of years, Daniel.
Yeah,
we've had them come. We've had these objects over our nuclear missile silos. We've had them over defense contractor locations. We've had them over our military bases. We've had them over nuclear power plants. We've had them all around the United States, going back for decades. And there's never been one attempt to actually bring these down until we had the three unknown objects that were brought down, one in Dead Horse, Alaska. Another one was brought down in the Yukon. And the third one was initially seen over, what is that place again? In North Dakota. Anyway,
I don't think it's a choice.
Over our nuclear missile bases, and it was initially then shot down over Lake Huron. So,
right. No, I don't think it's a choice that they can. I don't think that they can shoot. They can target them. I don't think that they show probably an IR signature, and obviously they have some kind of stealth technology. And my bet is they've tried locking on them. They've tried, shooting at them. They've tried.
No, they've said the policy in the United States has been not to shoot these things down.
Yeah, if they're over the bases, I can't.
If they're over the bases, the standing policy of the Department of Defense, coming from many previous administrations, including the former Trump administration, was to go ahead and ignore these things and call them as not a threat. Well, it is a threat because it's an intelligence issue, and plus, who knows what's in those drones, what's going on with it, and to allow those things to come and go at will, it just seems really sketchy, if you ask me. It doesn't feel like it's a military base, does it?
No, I can't believe that they haven't tried. I just think they're covering their ass.
They've tried to use the technology. They call it the Ghostbusters pack in the United States. And they tried using those in multiple occasions. Now, they work great for a DJI Class 1 or 2 drone, which is a drone that average consumers or what you may have. Sorry,
we have the Iron Beam. I don't even know if you knew about that. It's off one of the back of one of our aircraft carriers.
Yeah, but if you're talking, great if you're an aircraft carrier. But if you're you're shooting at something that's far away, but if we're talking over our installations in the United States, not just over our ships out at sea, it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Just going back to what the Coast Guard guys said, or what they saw, how many there were coming out of over here. And
they weren't coming out of the ocean; they were coming
from the ocean.
Which led to something being launched. And this is going on day after day after day. Right. The most important thing, Daniel, how many aliens do you know that actually go ahead and observe Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, I know. That's kind of an odd coincidence.
How many Russians or Chinese do you know that actually go ahead and observe Thanksgiving Day? None.
No, I can imagine it would be some kind of a
and the reason I bring that up is you had all the drones going in that time. Hit Thanksgiving Day, and there were absolutely none. And then it continues day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday.
They weren't here. That was one of the nights I did film, and they were actually. I couldn't believe that they were flying around Lakenheath.
I was talking about the drones in the U.S.
Oh yeah, over here they didn't. They carried on going on.
Yeah,
that was. Yeah, they carried on doing it. I don't know what I was going to say now. I was going to tell you, when they launched those planes, they launched them F-15s. They tried to catch them drones, and they couldn't keep up with them. I heard a bang, which was in my live stream. I don't know what it was, but the next day a lady reported that one got shot down over near Mildenhall, and then she's disappeared off the radar. She's no longer been seen. So whether she was told to shut up, I don't know. But I've not heard nothing else about that lady. But she was all over Facebook. It was everywhere that she'd said that one was shot down near Mildenhall, and then she never was on. And yeah, she apparently she lived near the base or on the base, but after that, no more word from her.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and here's the thing with the drones we've been seeing, Daryl, I should say, as the things that were going on in the UK and in the US, at least for the drone situation that was going on specifically on the East Coast, specifically in the area of New Jersey and the surrounding states, everything that we had seen in the operations of these craft would probably be considered prosaic, meaning within the scope and capabilities of human craft.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
advanced
definitely.
military craft or intelligence craft, for that matter. If we can.
Yeah, sorry, I've got something going on in the background. I'm trying to turn it off. My telescope's going crazy. Yeah, I think they were definitely being controlled by somebody. From what I saw, they were just flying round and round and round. They weren't. They were doing sort of like that. Looked like pre-programmed sort of like flying. So it looked like they were just going the same route around and round and round. And the F-15s just kept doing exactly the same thing as well. So yeah, I think they were. I personally believe, they were being flown by somebody and somebody on the ground here. So
yeah,
that's just my thought.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a great position to take because, again, I guess as time goes on, we'll get a more clear version of potentially what's been going on. Hopefully, we'll get more information declassified from our governments. I'm not going to count on it coming from the UK because we understand they like keeping things and maintaining their privacy, for that matter. If we can,
yeah, we didn't really hear a lot about them in the newspapers. And I had a few newspapers contacted me, but they weren't really saying a lot. There was nothing really in any of the major newspapers. They wanted to keep it all quiet. They didn't really want to talk about it. So yeah, I tried not to talk with the papers. Although I had a couple of local TV approach me, but I didn't really want to have nothing to do with them. But I was just doing my thing. I was filming the planes, and that all happened, and it just went crazy. But I wasn't sure what I was seeing when I first saw it. I was really shocked what was happening to see the planes trying to keep up with these things, and people in the live stream was going crazy, saying there's UFOs above the base, there's drones, there's this, there's that. And to be honest with you, when it first happened, I didn't see anything. I couldn't see what they were talking about. It was only the next night when I went up there when I realised I was seeing what they were talking about. And I did see some strange lights that I don't know what they were. They weren't the drones. So whether we had someone watching us, watching them, I don't know, but yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. There was some. I recorded some lights that I cannot explain. So you have to go back and have a look because Liberty Wing's still going. They're still there. But I'm now partners with another channel now, which is the Military Aviation channel. So I'm now doing that and my Astro. So yeah, Liberty Wing's still going, but not with me at the moment.
That's fine. Well, sometimes it's great to build something, let it go ahead and run on its own and move on to something fresh. It sounds like you've got a great area to go ahead and explore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. If we can, Freezerman71, your hand is up, my friend.
Thank you, Thomas. What's disturbing is, if it's true it's the Russians, it points to the fact that the Russians have leapfrogged the United States and the UK. And that the UK has no defense against drones.
Well, it could be Russia using their own homegrown technology, or they may have partnered with the Chinese. But either way, it sounds like the current, if you want to call it, the current state-of-the-art technology that's been deployed at a lot of these locations is unable to bring it down. Now, I know near the end of the drone situation, there was a new technology that was brought out and just deployed by BAE Systems, which is a UK military contractor, which was a large object that was a large device sitting on the back of a fairly large military truck that would drive around, and it used a mass amount of energy to go ahead and take down potential drones. So since that new one came out, I believe, for that matter, that it's been the drone situation really quieted down in the United Kingdom.
Well, the only other thing I would say is if, for example, in the United States, the drones are U.S. technology, it's also disturbing that the government is trying to scare the hell out of the people down there.
Yeah, I hear you, my friend. Sometimes the government doesn't really respect the people that it should. And that's being rectified on many different levels. Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, you know what really doesn't sit well with me is, we've got these multi-billion pound aircraft and multi-billion dollar aircraft, yet they're able to stop them from flying it, with a couple of $100, a couple of $1,000 drones.
Yeah.
Especially where was it over in America? Name escapes me. Where they actually flew all the aircraft out of the base.
Langley.
Langley. Thank you, Darrell. Yeah. They flew them out of Langley, took them out of their base, sent them off to somewhere else for potentially, a couple of $1,000 drones. We've all seen how it's what's happened in Ukraine in the last couple of years. Drones seem to be in the ascendancy in warfare now. The fact that you can send a couple of $100 drones is going to wipe out. Even if they don't wipe the aircraft out actually individually, you're stopping these things from flying. I just, the state of warfare and the state of the world in the future, I think it's going to be a very different case. But yeah, I don't know whether these were these Russian guys who went in as crop picking people or what, and I guess these sightings are still going on over in the USA. Here, potentially, we've got an excuse.
Yeah.
Whether it's a genuine one or not, again, it's this rabbit hole that this subject is. We end up, no further forward than we are sometimes, several steps back.
Well, coming from our audience, sorry for the clutter on the desktop, my friends, asking the audience, drones in the UK, ties to Russia, 14%. Not a chance, 86%. Wow, it seems like a lot of people are going after some disinformation from Russia now. Everyone can go ahead and think how they want to on this one, but our audience is strong out of 56 votes with 421 people voting. This is your opportunity to get out there and state your position on this. Hollywood Herald, your hand is up, my friend.
I'm just wondering, how did they actually link these drones to Russia besides the shady story there? Did they have any
shady story?
RFID on them?
No, they're tracking their cellular devices using open source data. So they actually have these members from Russia that they brought out within the, who are basically dealing with this. They trace them at those particular locations. So this isn't shady data. This isn't a shady story, Harold. Now, what do you think these drones were in the UK? Do you think they were from non-human intelligence or ETs?
I'm pretty sure of it. When I was watching Liberty streaming there a couple times, he said those jets, when they took off, they were full afterburners the whole time they were in the air. And anytime they got close to those things just pulled away from them. So I don't buy the drone theory. I was watching.
But those drones were relatively low to the ground. They weren't thousands of feet up in the air. But if you want to go ahead and think that it's UFOs, that's your prerogative, you know?
All right. Yeah. I just thought I'd ask about that.
No, that's fine, my friend. It's a good position to bring up because clearly a lot of people in the audience are thinking that the drones don't have any ties to Russia. Interesting. We'll see where it goes. Daryl, you have your hand up, my friend. Are you muted? There you go.
No, I was muted again. I keep doing it. Sorry. I don't know. They were on full afterburner. They were definitely after what they were after. They couldn't get near them. They were. I heard what they were saying on the radio as well when they were saying what Hollywood thinks they are. That's what they were saying, and that was coming over the radio. But you know, we don't know. And what I saw of them, they were too far away to sort of like tell you exactly what they were. They were, like I said, they were right down near completely the other end of the base, but the planes were definitely after them. They weren't. I've never seen F-15s take off like that before. They were full afterburner right up into the sky. I have never seen that happen ever. All the whole time I've ever been to Lakenheath for years, I've never seen them take off like that. They were definitely in a hurry. They definitely knew something was there, but I don't think we're ever going to know the whole truth. What happened and whether this is a cover up or not, you know, I don't know. But
so if they're at, you're talking about the McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle, right?
Yeah.
The maximum speed of one of those particular objects, of one of those planes, is 1,875 miles per hour, or 3,000 altitude. You know, if you want to call it 3,000 kilometers per hour. I don't think the drones that you were seeing, or do you think the drones you were seeing were moving at about 2,000 miles an hour or 3,000 kilometers an hour? Were they actually moving that fast?
They just outmaneuvered them. They just outmaneuvered.
Well, yeah, of course. If you've got a jet, hold on.
Yeah.
Jet that's moving at really fast speed, right? And it's got a big turning radius to go around.
Oh, yeah.
If you've got a drone, all it has to do is drop down, move it in an opposite direction, and any of the maneuvering that you'd want to go, because this plane is going so fast that it's just going to zoom past it. Now, that's the problem we had when we had That's the problem we had when we had. One more time. That's the issue we had when we had the F-22s going after the UFOs in Dead Horse, Alaska, and the Yukon, and then over, it starts with a Maelstrom Air Force Base in North Dakota.
Yeah.
That they would go ahead and try and get to these things, but they were going so fast, they'd be blowing past it in a fraction of a second.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the case. I mean, they did bring Apaches in to sort out, because that night I kept saying, why are the UK government not sending Apaches from Watisham? Because Watisham's not far at all from, as the crow flies, only 25, 30 miles away. I couldn't understand why they were going round and round trying to catch these things when they could have sent Apaches that could have just sat there and shot them down, but they didn't.
Right.
I mean, and then 2 or 3 days later, they were there. They were hovering around the area. So, yeah, but that was too late.
Yeah, absolutely. No, some people are looking for a link to that new article that you sent across. I just need to go find it. I'll probably shut the window down. Here we go. To Russian. We've got that story. Suspected. Let me get to the mail from this particular window. Let me just get it for the audience so they can get it. And it's not a shady reporting or a shady story. I will say that again. Second, let me get to the story I had here. Let me get it for the audience. And let me go ahead and paste that for the audience, so you can go ahead and check it out, my friend. Here we go. Let me go ahead and get across to that screen. There you go. There is the link of the second story, and then I have a link to the first story. There we go. Both links for the story have been thrown into the chat for anyone who wants to go ahead and check that stuff out. Ashes, you have your hand up, my dear lady.
Hi. Hi, thank you. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late to the party today,
That's all right.
I'd like to give my take on it.
Please do. I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so speaking of those mystery drones, I've been digging into DARPA and the Navy, and it's juicy. These things swarmed New Jersey last year, maybe from a UAV mothership we're testing. The White House says just research, but check this. They paused on Thanksgiving, except in the UK, and locals saw them hitting the ocean. DARPA's got AI drones running on alternative fuels flying for days, like Longshot or Gremlins. A Navy ship launching them fits. Holiday break for us, not the AI.
Mm-hmm.
Those FAA bans in December, too convenient. I'm betting it's a DARPA Navy test. Thoughts?
It could be a DARPA test. It could be something that was an actual, if you want to call it, operation that was going on. Now, a majority of the people out there that at least I know in the circles, including Alan Levine and others, are all pointing towards the Petrodynamics XP4, XP5, and 7, a little bit more advanced platform. Let me bring this up in the background as we're talking about it. But yeah, Ashley, very interesting. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff that's out there, but there are drones that have capabilities that do have some, if you want to call it, stealthy options. There's one of them right behind me here. Who is the VP of engineering talking about these advanced aircraft. Yeah, thank you, Mocha. Andy, your hand is up.
Yeah, the only thing that actually doesn't sit well with me with the Russian, potential Russians setting these things off. Now, I was actually listening to Daryl as he was doing a live broadcast. I was actually in work, and where he was too, all the dogs, you could hear these dogs all in the area that he was in were absolutely howling, like a panic kind of sound they were making. Now, I'm pretty sure the dogs in the area knew all the sounds of the aircraft, so they weren't going to be worried by those. I'm a big believer that actually, animals, if these things are UFOs or whatever actually exist, animals pick up on these things. They we hear countless stories of them reacting and to when there are UFO sightings. That really stuck in my mind when Daryl was broadcasting how these hounds, these dogs were making one hell of a noise. And Daryl, I distinctly remember Daryl saying, "Oh, I can see lights in the distance." Take it as you will, But yeah, I don't know about this Russian story. Is it the same old, obfuscation we hear of? And yeah.
If we had things that looked and operated more like orbs, Andy, and actually had more of a UFO kind of a feeling to it, I'd say absolutely, yeah, what we're dealing with right now is clearly, could have been a non-human intelligence. And I am the last person who would want to go ahead and take a video of something that's clearly UFO and say, no, this is a drone, this is a bird, this is a seagull for that matter. No, I believe there are UFOs. I believe there's stuff out there, but sometimes you have to go ahead and just have... You can't believe in everything that you hear, and you can't believe in everything that that's put out there. Video, on X, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. And they no difference for me. I leave our audience to go ahead, and their audience has a lot of strong opinions, and that's your ability to go ahead and go that way. We're just trying to... I have an opinion too. And, that's what I'm seeing on some of the stuff of what we're kind of dealing with. Now, Nick, I know you're a staunch believer. Your hand is up, my friend.
Yes. Do you believe, Liberty, that it could just be a UFO using mimicry to just mimic a drone? That's not
Hold on, your audio's fading in and out, Nick, if you could say that again.
Do you believe, Liberty, that it could just be a UFO using mimicry to just disguise itself to look like a drone, but it's not actually a drone, but it's actually a UFO craft? Do you believe that's a possibility, Liberty?
I'll answer that first before Daryl kicks up. My personal thought about that, not a chance in hell. But that's okay. Anyone can believe what they want to believe. What I like to go off of is as much factual information. If we have an ability to tie something back, again, if we saw these things and they were moving at between 11 and 15,000 miles per hour, that's a UFO. If we see something that's going along and all of a sudden it just shoots off and you can't see it, that's a UFO. I've seen, if you have an object that's moving at a regular speed, like we've seen of orbs, and I've seen 5 of them go in front of my house here, moving probably a couple 100 feet, 300 feet in the air at the most, completely silent, that's a UFO. What we've been seeing, what we heard and everything going on the East Coast of the United States, especially a lot of times people were recording these things, it didn't sound like a UFO. It sounded like something terrestrial for that matter. Liberty Wing, you have your hand up, my friend?
Yeah, so going back to what Andy said, I have never, ever in my whole life ever heard animals reacting the way they did that night. That was actually, there was people that went off into the night to go and have a look at what that was, because that was really, really strange. And there was a light that was going up and down, side to side behind the trees from that area. And the guy went off and he said, yeah, I could see it. And it was about 2 miles. He reckoned, he said it was about 2 miles away. I kept seeing it, but it kept going behind the trees, so I couldn't film it. It was a really strange thing. Those dogs were going absolutely nuts. And I've been there so many times. I've heard the dogs barking, but they was, I think I said at the time, they were screaming. That was, and then there was a donkey going crazy as well. So, yeah, that was a strange one. And do I believe there was UFOs there? Do I believe that? I believe that I saw multiple things. I saw drones, definitely saw drones. I saw lights I can't explain. I don't know what they were. If you go onto Liberty Wing's website, onto the YouTube channel, they're still there. I put some videos of this light that was, I don't know, it was the strangest light I've ever seen. It was, I can't explain it. Just you have to go and have a look at it. If you want to go and have a look on the Liberty Wing YouTube channel after this, I can't explain what that light was. That was strange. It wasn't an aircraft. Let's put it that way. And that wasn't a drone. So I'm a believer in UFOs. I don't know if that's what I saw, but I saw something that I can't explain. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Absolutely. I appreciate that, Daryl. You know, you were there, and your firsthand sightings of seeing these things up front carries a lot of weight. Ashes, your hand is up.
Hi again. So I definitely think there's some relevance to seeing multiple things in the sky.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Hey, you mentioned Petrodynamics, and their P5 transwing fits these mystery drones spot on. The Navy just dropped $4.65 million on it this month, February.
Right.
It's a 330-pound VTOL drone, 400 nautical mile range, 50-pound payload, switching from hover to fixed wing flight, hybrid powered. It could fly for days.
Right.
You think that sounds maybe like our drones?
Well, it does, but also we have the aircraft that I've been showing in videos in the back of the conversation as we've been having it, Ashley. Let me get this up it here as well. You know, coming
and which
from
one is that?
The company who makes these is Petrodynamics.
Right.
And their test site that they have, I believe, is in New Jersey.
Yep. And so,
there's a huge drone proving ground in New Jersey. Wasn't it set up by DARPA?
Yeah, it does have a connection to DARPA. I don't have any complete solid evidence yet, but like I said, the Navy just dropped $4.65 million on Petrodynamics this month.
Yeah. And this is their current drone that is announced to the public. This is the XP-4. There's an XP-5 and an XP-7 that are restricted or confidential at this point, and they're not releasing any information for it, because who are they developing all this technology for? The U.S. Navy. Where
Yeah,
were all
yeah.
where were all the drones coming in from when it was going on a nightly basis? From the ocean. And who's out in the ocean? The Navy.
The Navy. Yep, there's definitely some correlations there.
Yeah, there are. And there's a lot of different people. You know, we covered the drones day after day after day and all the situation. It was a very, how do we call it? The situation stunk to high hell as a cover up coming from our federal government. To say they
Yes.
don't know what this stuff is, if I've got my magic ball.
Yay!
No, I don't.
Well, you know,
we
DARPA's
go.
got some really cool toys. They're
Our,
like the
our
ma-
government has the ability to see an object like this from the surface of the water or the earth all the way out to beyond the moon. They pick up UAP, they pick up everything. Now,
Oh,
to
yeah, they
go
know
ahead
what's
and
going-
say that they couldn't figure out or see these objects, where they were coming from, what they were doing, where they were going to, it's the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard. Because we have the technology. It's been deployed for many, many, many years. It's a cover-up. And unfortunately, we haven't gotten the answer from the American people. And unfortunately, our president promised us. But now that we have all the different people in the heads of the government, you know what? We should push Anna Polina Luna to one of those national secrets we have that they're looking to go ahead and uncover. Add drones to the list, because we deserve to have the truth and the facts about what was going on with these objects. 100%. Because I don't believe the answer that, well, if the FAA did know about it and these were things that were going on, show us the proof. Show us the proof. Wouldn't hurt us. Syrup, your hand is up.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to comment. You know, the other day I actually threw the video up in the back chat. It wasn't very long, but we were driving on the freeway, and I would assume it was Lockheed, but they were flying a pretty giant drone. It was like a sort of looked like the one you got up in your thing right now, but it was more of like a box shaped drone.
Yeah,
but it was huge. I think they're probably going to start seeing a whole lot more drone activity, just because I think that's what they're pushing for in the military. They're going to start testing and using drones for warfare and what have you.
Well, if you want to look at the biggest testing field for drones in warfare to show how effective they really are, Ukraine.
Fair enough, right? And yeah, and you know, I hope it doesn't take away from. I hope people don't put too much focus on the drones. Obviously, it's very interesting, right? But you know, there's genuine UAP out there that I think people should focus more on.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
just my opinion.
And here's the thing. We had this situation with the drones going on. The drones were coming in. They were moving back and forth in a grid pattern like they were sniffing or looking for something. Now, at the same time, there were sightings that were going on that didn't look like drones, and it truly looked like UAP. So there was a mix of things going on, but here's the thing. We had a lot more people going up and looking up at the sky than we ever had in the longest time, right? So
yeah, exactly.
The UAP sighting, the UAPs that they had seen when they were going out looking for drones, this may just be the regular occurrence of UAP that are going over that particular part of the country. And since we had a lot of people going out with their phones and recording this stuff, they picked up the UAP that may have been interested potentially in what our drones were doing, but may be interested in the things that they're usually interested in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could have sworn I read someone that AARO had developed or was using drones to try to detect UAP. Is there any truth to that? Have you heard something like that?
No, I haven't. But I have seen people who have had videos of fast movers, which are craft moving between 11,000 miles an hour plus, and then when they're going over an area with the drone and filming at like 120 frames per second, they're actually going ahead and picking up these objects, moving really fast. So I would say all those are correct. Now, are they potentially using drones to try and spot UAP? I would hope so. I would hope that if there's a potential UAP that are going over our military sites or over our nuclear power plants or even over the homeland, that we should be sending up objects to try and figure out what's going on and not just acting like I see nothing, I hear nothing, and more importantly to the public, I speak nothing. Andy, your hand is up.
Yeah, it struck me. We're at the pivotal point now. I really think we're at the pivotal point. We're either going to win this or lose it. Right now, we've got the U.S. government is potentially looking like they may well release some information on this. How much, we don't know. What really worries me is, we're in the time of AI. We're in the time of drones. Everything can now be described as, or debunked as, oh, it's an artificially created photo or video. Somebody's faked it, or it's a drone. I think this is the best time for the subject and the worst time at the same time.
Right.
Just depends which side of that seesaw that this is going to fall on, or is it going to be shot down and completely buried forever for the rest of every single one of our lives, or is it actually going to be? Is there information that's going to be released? I'm hopefully it's the latter. Because there's so many people out there who've experienced all sorts of strange, anomalous stuff with this subject. whether it be potential abductions, it's sightings, it's whatever. And
that's where
and I worry.
And that's where the interesting part.
I really worry for that.
Yeah, that's where the interesting part of going on. We have new people at Skywatcher with Jake Barber and others, and it's being funded by billionaires. You have involvement from I believe Matthew Pines, and you've got Ross Coulthart and David Grush and a bunch of people who are involved with this. If they have the ability to go ahead and connect with an egg UFO, for that matter. Now, there's more than egg UFOs. We have saucers, we have triangles, we have cylinders, we have tic tacs, all different types of things. But if they're able to go ahead and link up with this particular kind, and they can go ahead and bring it down and result in a mass sighting, where it's not just the 40 or 50 special people that were picked to come and witness this, but it's a large venue where there are thousands or tens of thousands of people that will go ahead and see it. I think, Andy, that's what we truly need to move this story forward, because otherwise, like you're saying, with AI and everything that we've got now and the ability to go ahead and create videos and put it out there, that you can go ahead and actually, what do you want to call it? That we can actually get something that people can attach to and realize, wow, there is something more. All of these people couldn't have been, if you want to call it, faked out.
Yeah, 50 people in the middle of a desert somewhere isn't going to cut it. I'm really, really, end of the day, Jake Barber and all of that, you guys, if you ever catch this show and, it's not going to cut it. 50 people. You need an awful lot of people. You need a Super Bowl. You need, some sort of, I don't know, royal occasion here in the UK. You need something where you can hit tens of thousands, millions of people. 50 people. No. Yeah, I have high hopes for the next year, but also I'm extremely, extremely worried for the next year and the next couple of years. I personally really do believe we're at a tipping point. We're either going to get it come out in, the US government. If any of you government people are watching this and on our side, for God's sake, get your act together. This is, I think this is, this year, maybe in the next couple of years, are going to be the real tipping point, whether we lose this subject forever or we gain this subject and people are allowed to become more enlightened. I know all the issues that are, you got all of you who are pro and against your government, what they're doing at the moment, Trump's got a legacy. If he wants to build a legacy, this will be his legacy. If he actually gets on top of all of your JFK and all of these RFK and UAPs and Martin Luther King, he will go down in history as probably the greatest president ever. If he doesn't, he's just going to become another president. We're going to be, every one of us are going to be now looking, oh, we missed the chance there. So yeah, I got to stay hopeful. I've not been touched as
Yeah. Uh-oh, we
much
lost
as some people like you yourself, Thomas, have. I want to know what the hell they. Yeah.
Yeah,
There we are.
absolutely. Absolutely. If I can, I am going to bring up another poll here and get it started. Here we go. I've got something to go ahead and bring up for the audience and people who want to see stuff out there really quick. I want to go ahead and bring this up. Guest desktop. Let me get this out of the way. Let me go to actually video solo guest. Here we go. This tweet coming from us on Twitter. Coming from, it's not letting me scroll down anymore. Coming from UFO Mania. Said, did you know that in 2020, NASA's Stereo A spacecraft captured a major structured object floating in space, and it's larger than Earth? And the question is, did NASA capture an alien megastructure in 2020? Let me go ahead and play this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and I have a video that I'm going ahead and showing right now. Let me get this up here for our audience. Let me get myself out of the way. There you go. And what they're talking about here is this particular large object that they're seeing on that particular video feed. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's an alien megastructure. Let's go ahead and see where our audience is. Right now, our audience is at 67% saying, yeah, that's an alien megastructure because this is something that's coming close to our sun. It's potentially in our, if you want to call it, solar system, relatively close to what's going on. But wait, friends, I've got an answer for you on this one. On this note, let me go ahead and get to it. I'm going to take a screenshot of the poll. We're at 69% of our audience saying, yes, it's an alien megastructure. Now, I am the guy again who, when I saw this at that time, I thought, yeah, this could be an alien megastructure. However, with proper research and vetting, let me scroll up a little bit. They did a survey, 47.6% of the audience of this tweet says it's an alien spaceship. 10% of the people said it was a comet. 27% of the audience of this tweet said it was a solar orbiter glitch, and 14.8% said it was something else. Well, what did I say it was? Let's get into it. I said it's a reflection from the inside of the camera and has been seen multiple times in the past, followed by stop spreading misinformation. Next, Duncan Cowan says, that does seem like a daft explanation. I'm afraid. Please explain and show a credible source if you expect anyone to take that explanation seriously. And all you had to do is search for Stereo A reflection, Stereo A internal reflection on Google, and there's an answer for this. Some people have noticed an odd shape sort of cross inside a circle entering the field of the HI2 telescope. Let me make this bigger so everybody can see it. And I have actually seen the diagrams of the inside of the telescope. The field of view in an HI2 telescope stereo ahead around February 20th, 2020. Eventually, there is a cone shape that appears next to it. If you see the feature in this movie, moving from right to left below a trapezoidal occulter on the right side of this image. The answer lies at the exact opposite side of the image. At the same time as a strange-looking feature starts becoming visible, there is a very bright planet Venus enters the HI2 field of view from the far left. Notice that Venus has the features stay in step almost exactly opposite of each other. What we're dealing with here is an actual reflection of Venus on the inside of the telescope. There is the original video, the original quality of what was seen. And what we're truly dealing with here is the reflection of the inside of the telescope that actually has the exact same shape of the object we're seeing moving across the sky. Now, everyone wants to think, my God, this is a UFO, we've got something. And that's where you need to go ahead and look at the facts, look at the information that are out there, and you'll get the truth. Now, to our 69% of the audience out there who said, yes, it's an alien megastructure, that's where sometimes you just need to just don't look at something. Just don't go ahead and take what people are putting on X, because I tell you, when you're getting, tweets coming from UFO Mania, you have to go ahead and look at all the tweets, all the different things they're reposting, all the things they're putting out there, and realize we've got someone who's taking other videos, putting different things out there, not necessarily giving us the date, but this is truly a believer, not necessarily coming from someone who looks to represent the facts. And I'm not trying to go ahead out there and say, wow, we should get to that. But here's the thing. The reason that I understood about this is because I watch a bunch of science channels on YouTube, including Suspicious Observers and others, that when this was going on, they actually covered this very closely. So you just have to take, if you want to call it, what you're seeing on Twitter, on UFO Reddit, even on YouTube, with a grain of salt, and do the deep dive to see, is there a prosaic explanation of what we're truly looking at? Sergeant Daniel, your hand is up.
Yeah, so the last couple of days I saw, if you search Chinese general, there's a general on some TV show in China, and he's describing UFOs, and he goes on to say about, he elaborates on how the universe is vast, and he's not surprised that there's extraterrestrial beings, and it's on Chinese television. And it shows the lights going up over the, it shows what he thought they were, and it was an actual general.
Right.
So, so what I'm thinking is they're probably trying to get their population ready for something too.
Well,
trying to kind of ready their population, because it's going to be a shock to them too.
It could be a shock, but you know what? I think the world will deal with it relatively easily. We've had a bunch of horrible things go on. I mean, look at the whole thing the whole world went through on COVID-19. That was that was one hell of an ontological shock, huh?
I don't know. I've always gone under the assumption that people are going to go absolutely loony. They're going to hoard all the toilet paper, and, they're going to, they get all the hand sanitizer and bury themselves in the backyard or whatever. I mean, I just don't have very much faith that people aren't going to go crazy. But hey, hopefully we'll all get to see that. So.
Yeah, I would definitely hope so, my friend. I would definitely hope so. I want to, and here's the thing: I want to see this stuff in my lifetime. And I think Ed feels the same way, and everyone else in the back. We'd like to see some truth come out, some acknowledgement, and then a regular tranche of information being declassified at one document after another over a period of time. Because, heck, we have close to 80 years of cover-up going on.
Well, what Richard Dolan said the other night about Jimmy Carter, I've heard that before. I don't know if I've heard him say that before, but he said he heard it from someone who actually witnessed it, or someone real reliable. Well, I mean, what would make a religious person like Jimmy Carter, who is open to being because he wanted to declassify, what would make him put his head in his hands and start sobbing?
Because it shattered his understanding of religion.
But he never gave it up. He never
he
wavered.
didn't. Of course not. It could have been that, or there's been talk about, in one of the crash vehicles that we've gone and retrieved, there were dead aliens and a whole bunch of body parts.
Right.
But it's no different than when you have people going across the desert Southwest and they run into the aftermath of some of the smugglers and people coming across the border where they're finding heaps of body parts. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have to look at this and say, is what's going on from the non-human intelligence against humanity any worse than what humanity already does to itself? And if it is no more or no less than what humanity already does to itself, then there should be no shock to us, except thinking, though, oh, we've got something else that's more advanced here, and we can't stop them, and they will continue to do it, and we want them to stop doing it, but they won't.
Well, I think we'll all know the truth when we hear it. People will know the truth. What that truth is, I just don't think anybody's really put their finger on it yet. I don't think any of them have a real idea what's going on. I just think it's so much more complicated, and really, it's not just nut and bolts craft. I think there's a combination of a lot of things going on that eventually, hopefully, we find out. But I don't think that really anybody has a good concept of it, and that's why they haven't released it. They just don't know how.
Yeah. I have to agree with you, my friend. It's one of those things we just look at and we want to try and get to the truth. And, I guess what it comes down to is we truly need more information. We need fact, but not just information. We don't need more whistleblowers. We've got enough. Some more would be great. What we need is some facts to back this stuff up. And that, again, we're dealing with not us convincing us. I would say majority of the people on this live stream right now believe there is something else with us here on this planet and more advanced human intelligence. But the bigger jump of the population, call it the court of public opinion, that's what we need the evidence for to really move this thing forward, to get the average Joe citizen anywhere in the world to jump on board of this conversation. Now, coming into this, she broke it. All right, so let's move on to this. Well, would you look at this? Would you look at this? Talking about our second topic for today. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here now. Where is it? Please document. Okay. Pentagon confirms investigation into UFO whistleblower Jake Barber's claims. Well, it's not just the Pentagon. We're talking about AARO. So there has been confirmation that's been released coming from Susan Goff, our favorite person in the DOD, who we really wish would get shown the door, has admitted to, if you want to call it, Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times, that they are investigating the claims that have been made by Jake Barber and Skywatcher. It takes a lot to get anything out of the DOD. More importantly, Susan Goff. But at least at this point, we've got an admission, not necessarily an admission of guilt, but we have an admission going on coming from, let me get in here, coming from the DOD about this. Now, the Department of Defense UAP office, as we know, has although main anomaly resolution office. Yes, they've admitted that they're investigating allegations from Jake Barber. DOD spokesperson, specifically Susan Goff, told Liberation Times that, quote, AARO is aware of Barber's claims and is investigating them. An interviewer with UAP researcher Jesse Michaels, Barber stated that he and his team have an existing relationship with AARO. Specifically, in the interview, Barber said, quote, we're conducting demonstrations for the new AARO director of AARO. That would be Mr. Kozlowski. I believe it's James Kozlowski. They are fully privy to our work. They have seen our videos, our data, and our report. Now, here's the thing I need to bring up. Has anyone seen the videos, the data, and the report coming from Skywatcher that has been presented to AARO? Because remember, at Skywatcher, they said they're going to have full transparency with all their data, all their results, and they're going to share that information with the public. But it sounds like clearly that we've got doublespeak going on, where we've got some information that they are making public to us, but there is this veil of secrecy for the other part of the conversation. Barber also added, since we left the program and reorganized, we are now working with AARO, and this information I'm giving you, including a report, is also being provided to AARO. During the hearing, Kozlowski, who's the new head of AARO, said, we've met with several of their interlocutors and had a couple of firsthand witnesses, and we are making great progress on those firsthand witnesses that we've talked to, and they do feel comfortable coming back to us. Because if you remember, for the longest time, AARO was not having true whistleblowers coming to them because there's a ongoing lack of trust from whistleblowers with the DOD and AARO. Well, you go figure. AARO has not been the most transparent organization. AARO seems to be the organization that has been there and put in place to shut down the UFO conversation, not to take it and move it forward. Now, Kozlowski said, Jake Barber commented in speaking to Liberation Times, Skywatcher has had positive initial interactions with AARO under Dr. Kozlowski and other federal authorities. We are focused on scaling up our efforts. Mocha, no. Thank you. Kombucha, thank you very much. Okay, we are scaling up our efforts to collect fidelity data in the field and look forward to sharing our preliminary findings with the public when they are analyzed by ourselves and independent experts. So there you go. So there is going to be a delay in the information coming out because they're going to share our information with the public after they've been analyzed by themselves and independent experts. Not sure who the independent experts are, but it would be interesting to find out. But there's clearly still a Chinese wall of information of what's going to be available to the public and what's going to be kept behind the scenes. Kind of like, if you remember, we had that big expedition that went on in the past called UAPX that went and was organized by Carolyn Corey back in the day, and where they were going ahead and recording these UFOs that were being seen by Catalina Island and out in the Channel Islands, and they supposedly had a tear in the sky where they saw a whole fleet of these UFOs potentially coming through that rift in the sky, that was the tear in the sky, as they called it. Majority of that data has still not been released to the public, is still being analyzed by science and people. So a lot of times when there are these expeditions of saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and find this, and we're going to be fully transparent to the public, all I can say is don't get your hopes up that, my God, this is exactly what's going to be going on. Wait off to the sidelines, and if something comes up, and something happens, like we always talk about it here, then it's time to get excited. Wow, a lot of things to talk about here. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, Mike is off today with his daughter's birthday. How about that? Go ahead and get to my bookmarks. See what I have here saved for videos. We just welcomed in none of your business. Let's get back to the regular news as I was covering it now. Let me see if I can just shrink this down a little bit. There we go. That should work. Let me try and use document solo. Braden Miller, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah. Just curious if you had heard about Danny Sheehan was on, I forget which podcast. I think it was the New Age one with Jeffrey Mishap. And he was saying that defense contractors had been using children that have psionic abilities to pilot these crafts, and in order to like develop or advance their psionic abilities, right, dosing them with amphetamines and exposing them to like scary situations to like elicit fear, because it apparently develops their psionic abilities, which is pretty immoral in my opinion. Any thoughts on that?
We talked about this last night, actually, but I'm happy to get into it again.
Oh, did you? Really?
Yeah, my concern on that is Danny's been a public figure talking about the whole, if you want to call it, UFO disclosure situation for way too many years to count, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first time in my memory that I can recollect Danny Sheehan talking about kids being taken into a psionics program and then using them to go ahead and pilot these craft. I haven't heard this from Danny, and I could just be wrong on it and talking like a sausage, as my grandmother would say, my late grandmother. But I haven't heard that conversation coming from Danny until the same allegations came out from Jake Barber. And I just have to scratch my head and wonder, why is it that Danny didn't talk about this in all of the public speakings that he had before then? And now...
Yeah, suspect.
Now he's talking about it. So why the delay? I don't know. It just throws
fair question.
It throws a question mark over it to where, again, we can't take every single word that everybody says and run with it and believe it. Throw it out there as something that say, okay, it's a possibility, but I'm not buying it yet.
He says a lot of stuff.
He does. Absolutely. And you can also go ahead and sign up for his master's program from Ubiquity University, from New Paradigm Institute.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and get back to this tweet that I was bringing up right here. All right, coming in from Anna Polina Luna, hot off the press on this one. Grateful to have Representative Nancy Mace on our GOP Oversight Task Force. Together, we'll uncover the federal secrets that have been hidden from the American people for far too long. The truth will be revealed. Again, our only concern here about Nancy Mace is when she had the opportunity to have the whistleblower from the Immaculate Constellation program testifying in front of Congress, she potentially shut it down. And then the information that was brought forward by Jeremy Corbell was handed across to Matthew Pines for him to go ahead and put out there as his own work product. So, kind of happy that Nancy Mace can be helping with part of this, but she may have some baggage going along that persuaded her to go ahead and keep the truth from coming out. Now, luckily, the truth that's going to be coming out with regards to this will be fully declassified coming out of the executive branch from the office of the President of the United States of America. So I don't think if there's things that the president goes and declassifies, that she will be able to go ahead and keep from being brought forward. Now, she did have the quote that said, hell or high water, I will have this hearing. She had the hearing, but the person who was supposed to testify wasn't there. And she actually made a snide remark, is I'm not just here to listen for people who are trying to sell books, something to that extent. Why would you go ahead and attack the people who came to your hearing to make it happen? If you want to have the facts, you want to have the true people to bring it out, then I got to scratch my head again. Why in the heck, when you had your star witness, would you just go ahead and not let him come out and talk? So, thank you. I appreciate Anna Polina Luna for sharing this information with everybody. Next, talking about what's going on, the overall coming from the disclosure of our national secrets. DC is panicking over the Epstein list. Release JFK files are coming, stating from Trump's counselor, there will be accountability. America deserves it. The days of American government, more like the bureaucrats of the American government, from hiding from the American people are over. We need transparency. And I'm not sure if anyone caught this one. There was a new presidential order that I believe went out on Friday, yesterday or the day before from the president that basically shut down. No, wait a minute. No, this is something that was passed in the Senate. It's going to be passed in the House. There's a new law being put on the books saying all of the government agencies that are run by bureaucrats can no longer pass sweeping regulations and enforce them as federal law without consulting and getting the approval from Congress. So the bureaucrat state that's allowed this kind of lack of transparency, passing these laws, passing the stuff and coming forward, is getting shackled. Things are going to change. We're going to get that transparency we all demand, for that matter. Talking about demanding transparency, I've got a video clip here coming from UAP James, just a short one here, where Representative Eric Burleson demands to know about the things flying around our skies. Let's go ahead and watch a short 24-second clip and reflect on it. Here we go.
Our goal is to identify and try to make disclosure, disclose as much as possible from some of these secrets that they're long overdue, including the JFK files, the files on the RFK assassination, the MLK assassination. The American people are demanding the Epstein list, and they demand to know what's going on with these things that are flying around in our skies. Our goal is to...
There we go. So again, we demand to know. We have the right to know what's going on. And it's great that they've been talking and focusing on these UFOs that have been flying over our military bases, off of our different classified sites, even our nuclear power plants. I am more concerned, honestly, about the UFOs that are flying over our homeland, that are flying over your houses, of your friends, of your relatives, where you live across the country. That's the real problem that the government has not even acknowledged or even been willing to address. And great, there may be a threat to the government, but what about the people? We're the ones who fund the government, and if they're not concerned about us, what the fuck are they doing, honestly? Let's move on. Our next clip coming from UAP James, Representative James Comer says the government hasn't told the full truth on UFOs or what may or may not exist at Area 51. Let's go ahead and play this small clip.
I don't know anything about UFOs, so I probably have the least amount of knowledge of anyone on the Oversight Committee about it, but I'm curious, and I think the American people are curious, and I don't think the government's been 100% truthful with the American people about what may or may not exist out there, especially in Area 51. So I know this is an area where Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burchett and Eric Burleson, all on the Oversight Committee, all on that task force, they want to know and they want to release to the American people what the government knows and what's really going on there. I don't know anything.
There you go. Sad part of it is, though, James Comer is the one who's overseeing this task force on disclosing our national secrets. Doesn't know a lot about UFOs, but at least he is being very honest about the situation, but he sounds like he wants to know the truth as much as I think everybody else here does. Let's move on to our next piece. Ross Colhart is confident that Tulsi Gabbard, who is our new Director of National Intelligence, will investigate UFOs and thinks the Pentagon audit will bring us to disclosure. One caveat from here before we show this video. We're at the start of disclosure. Disclosure has started. He doesn't say full disclosure, but I would say, if anything, to re-spin where this goes, it will move the needle of disclosure forward. And that's, I think, what we're going to see with this potential things going on. Let me go ahead and see if I can make this video a little bit larger here. And let me go ahead and bring this up. And let me play it. Here we go. The 2-minute and 36-second clip, and it's coming to us from our friends, Vinny over at Disclosure Team. Here we go, friends. Folks. Okay, let me play.
And what I take great heart from is that in the wake of that tragedy, they created the Director of National Intelligence, whom Tulsi Gabbard is now going to be the head of. And she's going to, and she's very avowedly determined to do so, she's going to try to investigate the UAP secrecy. And if they find failures of oversight, if they find criminal fraud, concealment, which I know they're going to find if they look, it's all going to come out. And at the moment, it's really interesting because I think the defence aerospace community can hardly believe what's going on because they've had this cosy little secret now for years, and all they've ever needed to do is put a stiff in a suit and a uniform and walk up to people and mumble, national security, can't talk about it, but, it'd be good if you didn't take this any further. And people just meekly roll over and accept it. And, we all know the usual suspects in Congress that have done that for so long. But there is a cultural change happening here because the American taxpayer is entitled to ask. What's happening with my money? Why can't we fix bridges in Baltimore? Why are our roads falling apart? Why are there record numbers of homeless people? Why is the health system such a disaster? And a large part of the reason is because of vast amounts of money are unaccountably going into the bottomless pit of national security expenditure. And as Elon Musk's Doge has politely asserted this week, they cannot account for trillions of dollars. And now they're being told they have to do an audit.
Just really clear at this point. The Department of Defense has failed audits, I believe, for the last 8 years at least, if not longer. There has supposedly, over a period of history, $21 trillion that have gone accounted for from the DOD. Now, they have failed their last audits year after year. So Doge going in, and with Elon Musk, to go in there and audit them, first of all, when they start auditing them, they're finding all this waste. We're going to get the answers of potentially where all this waste was at. And if they're doing this, rather than just sweeping it under the rug year after year, there will be monumental changes, I have a feeling, into the way that the Department of Defense has been run, with giving them a blank checkbook year after year. Now remember, when Trump came into office for the first time, he refunded the military a full amount, like $800 billion plus, almost $1 trillion a year. Now it's gone up again this year, but it's good to give them the money because they need it. But if they're wasting it, or they're throwing it away, or they're spending it on stuff they shouldn't be spending it on, well then yes, King Bull, drain the swamp, especially in the Pentagon. Let's get back to this clip of, here we go. Here we go.
Have to account for every single line item. That's going to be a really interesting moment because, frankly, the reason they can't is because they've been using, and we know this, we know that they've been using real programs protected under SAPs to divert huge amounts of money into an illegal, probably criminal, legacy UAP program. And that's illegal under the Constitution. You can't hide that with a presidential executive order or a presidential emergency action directive. The Constitution is the dominant legislative document, and it asserts that the Congress has to be properly informed about the expenditure of public monies, and it hasn't been. And it's that simple principle that I think is going to restore disclosure very soon, I suspect.
Yeah, a lot of devious things going on in the Pentagon with regards to bringing out the truth. Yeah, it's been a cover-up. Yeah, the information is being brought forward, but I have a feeling it's not just Congress who hasn't been truly informed on where the money is being spent. Like we've had all these agencies going in the United States government, turns out to be illegally going ahead and spending all this money in areas they shouldn't be. I would have no doubt that the same thing is also going on within the DOD. And I look forward to this audit coming out and bringing out the truth because you know what? We deserve the truth on this matter. And if there's waste and there's cover up and there, I'd like to see them honestly audit the James Webb Space Telescope. Why? I could be wrong on this from what I remember, at least what my memory tells me, it could be wrong, that the amount of money that they put into for that telescope, I believe in the last year of that program was more money than what the entire program was supposed to cost up front. And every single year going for the entire year of the program, it was more money and more money and more money. Now, did all the money go for that telescope? If it did, let's see a breakdown of how it was actually spent. But I have a feeling like on that program and others, we're giving them a big pile of dosh. But how much of that money is being siphoned off for some other dark program that shouldn't be there? All right. In our next clip, Ross Coulthard has heard stories about 2027 and 2034 catastrophes and arrivals, but says they're just stories you can't corroborate. Here's the thing, what I'll say. They're already here. They've been here for a long time. Maybe there's something bigger coming, but you never know. But says they're just stories and can't corroborate. He thinks NHI is showing itself to people and prodding our awareness of it, and that the drones are part, but not all of it. Let's go ahead and play this next clip coming to us from Ross Coulthard in his interview with Vinnie Adams. All right, here we go.
Look, I don't know. Simply, I don't know. I've heard 2027. I've heard 2034. I hear stories of catastrophes. I hear stories of arrivals. They're just stories. I mean, how do you corroborate things like that? I mean, that's the problem I have with, for example, things like abductions and mutilations. Unless I'm there to see it, how do you prove this stuff? So if somebody says to me, as has been said to me, that 2027 is going to be a big year, and then later on I hear 2034 is going to be a big year, frankly, I don't know. I mean, I really have no idea. But yeah, I mean, there are people who say that there are time limits. I certainly think this. I think the NHI, whatever it is prodding humanity's awareness of itself. And I think that the so-called drones are part of that. Not all of it, but part of that. I think that what's happening is there is a deliberate engagement by the NHI with certain people. You know, they're trying to prod human consciousness. And I find it really interesting, the number of people I meet who have suddenly developed an interest in the phenomenon after they've had one or two weird, anomalous encounters. It's like what's happening is the NHI is showing itself to people.
Well, I would think it is showing itself to people, for that matter. Get my beautiful face back on camera here. Yeah, it's an interesting situation coming into it. You know, we've had these things going on, but I would think after someone saw the UFO once, I would hope that would open their eyes, that it doesn't take them 2 or 3 sightings to get there. Andy, you've seen UFOs in the past. Did it take you a couple times to realize, wow, look at this, I didn't see anything? Or did that first time you see it really say, holy shit, what are we dealing with here?
Yeah, the first sighting of anything I had, I was probably about 16, and yeah, I couldn't quantify what it was. It was my original one. It was a light. I was with a couple of friends in a dark area. I think we were actually talking about the subject, and I saw a light track up the sky. It did a 90-degree angle. It went along another 90-degree angle, and as it went up the sky, it faded out. Now, yeah, that was a whole, what the fuck was that moment? Yeah, every time I see something that I can't quantify, and I've lived under, flight paths of military, civilian, all sorts of probably more than most people over my lifetime. That's why I'm a believer in this subject, that I'm seeing things I don't recognize. Yeah, the very first one was definitely a what the fuck. And many of the others as well have been. So, yeah, that have been.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate your candor on that one. I know you're someone who has seen this stuff in the past. It changed me when I saw stuff as an adult. Not really. I already knew it was there. It was just like about time. Great to know what's looking for us. But Sergeant Daniel, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm a perfect example of that. I was living in reality for the longest time. And about 14, 15 months ago, me and my 2 kids, 2 out of my 3 kids, saw a spaceship, and then later that night had something weird go on. But and then I've been kind of infatuated ever since. It's kind of poked me, and now I can't get enough of it. So yeah, exactly what he's saying. I wasn't watching Ancient Aliens. I didn't believe in. I probably believed in it, but I didn't really pay attention to it. But it really made me become aware. So what he's saying on that, as far as the people he's running into, it's true. I'm one of them for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Now you're not the only. Well, it took you something to go ahead and see something, but I've got a letter here that's from a letter from Steven Spielberg, Hilary King, about James Fox's film. Now, James Fox has not let this document out yet, but he just put it out there in the public today. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Here we go. Letter from James. See, it is from James Fox. There we go. Move it aside. Oh, come on, back down again. Over, here we go. Letter from Steven Spielberg to Larry King. Put it down. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix this up a little bit so it's more larger and visible for everyone to see. Go there. Letter from Steven Spielberg to Larry King about my film. I know what I saw. Let's just leave it at there. Not to use, I was asked at that time, very disappointing, not to use it for promotion when my film was released back in 2009. I have since shared my intention to go public with it. I didn't hear back, so here we go, folks. Coming from Steven Spielberg, the director, who gave us Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Aliens, Cocoon, and a bunch of other great movies, Indiana Jones, I believe. A great guy. Actually, that was Lucas. Let's go on. Here we go. July 6, 2009. Dear Larry, with great curiosity, I watched the documentary you sent over from James Fox and found it compelling. Personally, I would like to think that we are not alone, even though I have devoted a generous percentage of my movies to extraterrestrial-related films. I, for one, have never seen a UFO. That is so unfair. I hope you will continue to pursue this topic on your program and that someday our government will offer a total disclosure about what they know about unidentified flying objects and their true and natural origins. I continue to enjoy watching you and all of your guests. All my best, Steven. So there you go, Steven Spielberg reaching out to Larry King at that time, but talking about James Fox and the work that he did in the past. So it's great to see that James is out there. And I wonder, I guess we'll have to find out sooner or later, has Steven Spielberg seen anything that was in the sky since this was written on July 6, 2009? That's a while back in the past, my friend. I absolutely tell you. Let's go ahead and take a look if I have anything else here. Yes, this is something else that was in the news for our friends in Canada who may have seen that harrowing flight that crashed and remained in one piece. That was just amazing. But that's when we had a plane come down and land, I believe, in Toronto. When it came down and it landed, it was a very hard landing and caused the landing gear to collapse, the plane to go ahead and skid down the runway, the wings break off and flip upside down. It was a very interesting situation. Now, there have been concerns brought up that the flight crew for the company that was handling all those flights were specifically, they prided themselves in having unmanned flights because they're all piloted and served by women. But there has been some facts that were released on that today. Let me go ahead and bring this up again. The pilot responsible for crashing a Delta plane upside down at the Toronto Pearson International Airport on February 17th, 2025, has been identified as 26-year-old First Officer Kendall Swanson, a beauty pageant winner from Minnesota. Okay, Swanson had only completed her training in April and had logged fewer than 1,500 flight hours at the time of the incident. The more experienced Captain James Henneman was managing communications during the crash while Swanson piloted. If you remember, we've got the plane that had crashed at that particular time. Let me bring it up a little bit more. Following another good scene of it, and people were saying, oh my God, why was it there was no smoke or anything coming off at it? Because it was put out, the wings broke off, the wings are where the majority of the fuel is kept. And if you can even look at the ground here, the winds were so strong, everything was just blowing the stuff away from the plane quickly. And that is our pilot. And when she was taking her flight training, it looks like, and as a beauty queen. So yeah, interesting. Shouldn't be against it, but it definitely shows that a pilot who wasn't as seasoned potentially as other pilots was flying that plane in the conditions with some 40-mile-an-hour winds that may have contributed to bringing down the plane too hard and collapsing the landing gear. It's a sad situation. Luckily, though, this is probably about one of the most dynamic, if you want to call it, crashes that we've seen. I don't think I've ever seen a crash that's happened where the entire fuselage remained intact, albeit it was upside down. But you know what? They survived. To our friends in the United Kingdom, Michael Schellenberger put off a very interesting post today. The UK seems like a free nation. It's not. It's run by a tyrant, Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Shame on him for his totalitarian demand, and bravo to Apple's CEO Tim Cook for defying the government. Please share to warn the world that the UK is no longer safe for free people. Well, what are we talking about here? Apple was ordered by the UK government to go ahead and give them a back door so they could access all iCloud data worldwide and get around the demand that was made from the United Kingdom government. Unfortunately, friends, if you're in the United Kingdom, Apple has removed all advanced data protection features for UK users. Apple says it will never build a backdoor to user data. Apple Inc. is removing its most advanced end-to-end encrypted security feature for cloud data in the kingdom, in UK Kingdom, in a stunning development after the government ordered the company to build a backdoor for accessing user data. And what I've always said, if I'm talking to people, hey, let's go ahead and not make a phone call. Let's jump on iMessage or let's jump on FaceTime, talk back and forth. Why? That data itself is encrypted from end to end. We'll find out where it goes. But at this point, Apple has actually stood up. They're standing up for the privacy rights. And it's just a shame. It is purely, completely a shame that the UK government is taking such a totalitarian, if you want to call it, effort. I've seen a lot of people complaining about how bad the U.S., from the UK, complaining about how bad the U.S. government is, how bad Donald Trump is. Yet, do they not look in their own backyard and what's happening around them at that point in time? Doesn't look like it, my friends. Let me jump back into my desk again, see where we're at. All right, wow, we actually went through 2 hours already. I covered that, and I think I've covered all the news for today. Wow, what an interesting show. Anything interesting from anyone in the back that we haven't covered yet today? Silence. Must have done something right. Must have done. Well, actually, the audience is actually finally picking up a little bit for the show. We started covering some regular news stories, and there's some interest from our audience. But on that note, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hopefully you had a good time. Remember, we have a great conversation that continues for after the show in our back chat. Go ahead and follow that link at the top of the YouTube chat, and we'll be happy to hang out with you and talk with you. Not necessarily me, but others for that matter. On that note, I want to go ahead. The audio's not too loud. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful super chats today. Who am I talking about? I want to thank Charles Kerr, Eric Roth and the Gurus, Thomas Fanto, Necessary Dialogue, and Mac After Death. Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful love and support for everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. More importantly, I want to thank the members of our audience and our friends in the back for coming out for this great episode of everything we do here. And on that note, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. See you all Monday, everybody. Y'all come back now. Here. Take care now, everybody. Bye-bye.